I think it's a very difficult argument to make just to say, well, don't rise. And it's also very difficult to argue that the fitna that will be caused is greater than the fitna of man-made laws itself, because the man-made laws is the greatest possible crime. The shirk cannot be, less than any other crime. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that in Allah la yaghfiru an yushraka bih. Allah does not forgive shirk. وَيَغْفِرُ مَا دُونَ ذَلِكَ لِمَن يَشَاءُ. But He might forgive anything else less than that for whoever He wishes. So every other crime is less than the shirk. So we're not talking about an Islamic state where Islam is being implemented in order for us to say that we need to preserve the Sharia being implemented and don't cause fitna, because that's going to create a worse outcome than maybe a few individuals being oppressed. No, we're talking about everybody is oppressed because they're living under man-made laws. Everybody is suffering the fitna of man-made laws, and that is the worst. And that type of fitna is even worse than for us to suffer suffering and hardship and even death. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Al-fitnatu akbaru min al-qatl. That the fitna here, meaning kufr and shirk, is worse even than death or murder or killing. So there is a big difference between having patience in an Islamic state despite oppression and turning a blind eye to the kufr of man-made laws, the clear kufr, when we've been ordered to rise up when we see kufr. Now that doesn't mean that everybody can rise up, of course, because there's a big difference between capabilities. Somebody who is capable of something, they may consider action, but for many people they don't have that capability. And you'll find that usually all the groups and organizations that rose up for Khilafah, they always started out completely peaceful, and that's a natural thing. Ikhwan al-Muslimin in the early days with Sayyid Qutb and others, they were entirely a peaceful da'wah organization, political movement, until they became so repressed militarily by the regime. So then they took up arms. And it's really a reaction to how most people actually, what they want to do is they want to change the minds of the people. They're trying to bring people back to Islam through da'wah and education and other things. But it's the governments that are forcing the issue and creating a scenario where fighting is actually necessary for a lot of those organizations. And that's how it's become. I think it would be much better if the regimes held back their hands and allowed the people to decide for themselves. Do they want Islam or not? Give that da'wah, let them have that debate. I believe Islam will come out on top. Islam has a better answer for everything. It's not so good for the dictator, because Islam curbs the power of dictators, and it curbs the power of the rich elite and forces them to distribute the wealth for all the people, not to keep this dominant power for a few rich people. That's a Western capitalist system. But Islam obviously is counter to that. So of course I understand why dictatorships don't want people to hear about Islam.